My name is Katie Spadoro, and I'm here with your Small Business HR Weekly Update. Our first story comes from last Wednesday. OSHA put out a news release reminding employers that it is illegal to retaliate against workers for reporting unsafe or unhealthy working conditions during the coronavirus pandemic. Retaliation can include terminations, denials of promotion, demotion, reduction in pay or hours, or denials of overtime. It's really important to pay attention to these kind of things. Employees have the right legally to a safe and healthy working environment. So that being said, it's really important for a business owner to be sure that they are complying with any of the laws that are put out by OSHA on a regular basis. It is also important to know that OSHA does have a whistleblower protection program in place, and the purpose of that is so people feel comfortable saying something if there is an issue going on, or if there is an unsafe working condition, or they're being forced to work in a way that is definitely unsafe and defined that way. So employees are urged to contact OSHA and let them know if there is an unsafe working environment so they can come out and check it out. So it's really important as a business owner, obviously, to make sure that you are providing that safe working place for your employees. If you are interested in learning more about OSHA and how it could affect your small business, just reach out to Cyber and we can get you some information and let you know of a few resources that we have. Next up, on April 9th, the EEOC sued a Cincinnati area Asian restaurant group for sexual harassment and constructive discharge. The EEOC charged the owner of the restaurant group with subjecting female waitresses to a sexual harassment and constructive discharge. According to the lawsuit, the waitress was subjected to unwelcome sexual harassment, including an offer of money in exchange for sex and sexual assault. Obviously, sexual harassment is prohibited by law. Obviously, even though you should never do something like that, it still has to be prohibited by law. So make sure that you, A, have a sexual harassment policy in place, that you've trained your employees and your managers on how to handle a sexual harassment complaint. It is not sending an employee back to work for sure. There is definitely a process that you need to have in place for if and when there is a complaint that comes up at your office or at your place of work, your job site, whatever it is. Reach out to us, please, if you don't have one in place and you are interested in learning more. In other news, the Paycheck Protection Program. So small business owners around the country are hurrying to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a $349 billion relief program that Congress authorized to help small businesses survive the pandemic by keeping employees on the payroll. The loans are a first-come, first-served basis, so many small business owners are worried that the money will run out before the applications can be approved. Business owners are also trying to make the hard decision of whether or not to even apply for the PPP or instead lay off workers. There are some specific requirements having to do with the PPP, including you have to be under 500 employees and a couple of other things. Of course, you do need to maintain your headcount over a period of time in order to get that loan forgiveness. But again, this is something that we are handling on a regular basis. So if you have any other questions about the PPP and how it affects you, please reach out to us and we can give you some information and kind of walk you through the next few steps. Finally, since so many of our clients and so many of the people that are watching this probably have some employees that are already working remotely, we have a couple of really important tips and some information about working remotely and management of that, because obviously that is something that's different and it's something new for a lot of people. So here are some tips and tricks. Be as flexible as possible. Of course, this depends on the type of work you do. If you are primarily a client-facing business, you may need to maintain strict hours. So however, if your employees are researching or coding or doing something that could be done at different times in the day, try to be as flexible as you can with them. Work with them as best you can. Non-exempt employees need to track their time. Consider adding a free time tracking application to your process if you do not already have an online payroll provider with this capability. Remember that all breaks less than 15 minutes have to be paid. Ask your team to minimize background noise as much as possible. It is definitely okay to ask people who need to be on phone calls or videos to keep distractions to a minimum. Remind your employees about using the mute button if they need to. Institute daily check-ins. If you do not already have a habit of daily meetings with your team, now is a great time to institute daily check-in meetings. You could even have a meeting in the morning and a short one in the afternoon, whatever works best for you and your industry. It just is important to stay in communication and have open communication with all of your employees who are now working remote. Another option would be to consider having a block of hours. For example, we did this recently with a client. We suggested making mandatory hours between 9 and 2, and then the additional hours could be done before 9 or after 2. But no matter what, they were sitting at their desk between 9 and noon and 1 and 2 or something like that, whatever works for you. But that's a very good way to be able to be flexible with your employees, but still make sure that things are getting done and you know where they are when you need them. So it's important to do that. Lastly, one of our most important tips, let's continue to focus on the work product and not pick on every little thing that the employee might be doing that you aren't in love with and you don't appreciate. Instead of looking at every little detail of a person's internet search history, focus on looking at their work product. Are they getting their work done? Are they meeting their goals? As long as your team is meeting their goals and producing a great product always, giving them some grace and some leeway to be able to, kind of be a little flexible is super important, and it's going to be something that they're going to remember. So treat your employees well, especially right now, because you want them to be able to say that you were able to work with them and you supported them through this really rough time. Remember, mistakes are bound to happen when you're doing some remote work, and there may be a miscommunication or two, so give your employees a break if you can. Try to coach them and help them and provide them with support, because this is hard on everybody. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for checking us out. Happy Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Send us an email at info@cyber.co. info@cyBHR.co. Have a great weekend.